This story happened a few years ago. My best friend Alex was involved in mountaineering and speleology at the time, so he and I often went to the mountains or caves. During one of these trips, the events I want to tell you about happened. I will not describe the gathering and the road, but I will start directly from the arrival at the place. There were 4 of us, Alex and I and 2 more of his caving club companions, Oleg and Mikhail. We reached the entrance to the cave quite wet, because halfway from the place of landing to the descent, we were caught by a terrible thunderstorm. It is noteworthy that the sky was absolutely cloudless, but for some 15 minutes, it turned black and broke out with primordial fury. The cave is located in a mountainous area, so we wrote off the weather caprice to the peculiarities of the local relief. Anyway, we got to the entrance wet and angry. Well, when I said entrance, of course, I embellished it. A fucking hole. Just a hole in the ground, about 30 meters deep, with almost sheer walls to be clear. It's about the height of a 9-story building. So to get down, we had to fix a rope on the nearest tree, since it was possible to descend only one by one. Oleg, as the most experienced, went first, and we stayed wet and swearing. Meanwhile, it was already beginning to get dark outside. It was only 9 p.m. on the clock, but in the mountains, despite the summertime, it gets dark early. Besides, the storm clouds aggravated the already shitty visibility. It's easier to say that when it was my turn to go down. It was the same outside as inside the cave, which, as you may have guessed, did not make me optimistic at all. About halfway down, I heard the boys arguing loudly about something, but the rain drumming on my helmet did not let me hear. Already at the bottom, I asked them why they were yelling in the middle of the night. It looks like we won't be the first ones here tonight, Mishka complained. What makes you think so? I asked him. While we were coming down, Oleg heard someone talking down there. What? For real? And who is there? I did not lag behind, hoping that there will be cute girls climbers, not bearded bespectacled uncles. Oleg answered not immediately. It seemed to me that he was a little nervous. Fuck knows, I shouted. No one answered. Maybe it seemed to me. It's okay, the cave is big. There's enough room for everyone. Alex diffused the situation. On this optimistic note, our wet company grabbed the dropped backpacks and moved into the inhospitable womb of the earth. We reached the campsite with the first losses. Mikhail slipped with wet shoes and fell off to meet a boulder, miraculously not breaking his neck, but ruining his new hand flashlight. When we rushed to his aid, my backpack strap suddenly broke, and he skipped merrily off into the darkness. That's a bad sign. Alex shook his head. The cave doesn't accept us. We grinned, of course, but I admit I had a treacherous chill inside. My backpack was found about 20 meters down the slope. For those who had never been in a cave, I'd like to tell you that it rarely has a smooth floor and walls. It's more like a post-apocalyptic scramble of piled rocks and boulders. We camped in a relatively spacious and flat grotto near the underground lake, which was quite often used as such. There's no one, Oleg said, thoughtfully rubbing the string of his hood. Probably, and really seemed. Maybe they are in the third, Alex objected. They often camp there, too. It's damp in the third, and it's always dripping, intervened Mikhail, who had often been there before. They camp there only if this place is occupied. Don't piss yourselves, I grumbled. If there is someone, we'll meet anyway. There is only one way out of the cave, through our hall. Everyone agreed and went about their everyday business. Having changed into dry clothes and having a snack of bars, we decided to go on a reconnaissance. Oleg and Mikhail went to the left passage to the third grotto, and Alex and I went in the opposite direction to mark interesting routes. After a few minutes he stopped abruptly. Oh, Sonia, look, I don't remember this Shkernik. This is the name of a narrow crawlway, where you can get through only on your belly. Personally, I call it gut or hello, worm. It must have been opened recently, or it must have collapsed. Shall we check it out? As you have already guessed, I am not very fond of narrow confined spaces, so I did not share his enthusiasm. I thought we were going 2 genes. Oh, come on, man. A new crawl space, man. I could see in his eyes that he wouldn't give up the idea. so I told him to climb, but quickly, giving me the handheld flashlight and turning on the headlamp. Alex asked me to give him a lift and climbed into the gut. The crawlway was about eye level, so all I had to do was watch his heels. After about 5 meters, the passage began to veer to the right, and soon his heels disappeared. To avoid burning batteries, I crouched down on a rock and turned off my flashlight. Not 10 seconds later, Alex shouted something. Because of the tightness of the passage, I couldn't make out anything, and turning on the flashlight, I shouted, "What?" Literally in a second, his legs appeared from behind the corner. They were twitching convulsively, and he was talking all the time. But due to the shitty acoustics, all I could hear was, "Boo boo, emu, bodamar. Hey, what the hell are you doing?" He was coming as fast as he could on his belly backwards toward the exit. When I could reach him, I tried to pull him out by the leg, which was immediately followed by a heel to the nose. "Are you out of your mind?" I started, and suddenly I stopped when I saw his evil eyes and white face. "Fuck, there's something in there," he yelled, crawling away from the hole. "What is it? Did you see something? Let's get the fuck out of here." With these words, he snatched the lantern from me and ran towards the camp. I, knowing my friend's skill, was also frantic and rushed after him. The prospect of running away in the dark from unknown shit scared me so much that I didn't even remember at once that I had my own flashlight. Oleg and Mikhail were already rushing to our cries. I think they could hear us even from outside. Now it seems funny, but we were not laughing then. "What's wrong? Why are you yelling like crazy?" "Shit, guys, I'm shitting my pants right now." He calmed down a bit and told us what happened. I crawled 10 meters. I hear someone in front rustling. Well, I think, probably the second group, which Oleg heard. I shouted, saying, "Is there anyone ahead?" Silence. Well, I think, maybe it seemed. The echo is stupid in these narrow holes. Before I could think about it, there was a hissing sound like stones rubbing against each other. I, back with fears, rushed back. All my hands were torn, and so the lantern must have been humming. "And you almost pooped." The tension faded away, and we went to get Alex's lantern. Yes, by the way, we were in the third. "There is no group here," Mikhail inserted. I must say that this did not add optimism. When we approached the ill-fated manhole, no one was particularly eager to go there. That's why, as the most hardened, Oleg volunteered, but, having reached the turn to the right, he stopped for a long time, and then slowly climbed back out. "Is it exactly that crawlway?" "Yes, of course," we simultaneously confirmed. "Why? Did you see the lantern?" "What the hell lantern? There's a dead end right around the corner." "You're confused. What do you mean, a dead end?" "I just climbed up there 20 minutes ago. Sonia saw it." Alex turned pale again. "Yes, exactly this hole. Here on this rock I was sitting. Here are even my footprints." I showed him. Oleg shrugged his shoulders. "I do not know, Alex. You want, check it yourself. Dead end there." In a couple of minutes, my friend, all sweaty and puffing, came out of the passage. "Shit, it's a dead end, guys. We have to get out of here. Some shit is going on." Mishka, who had been silent all this time, doomedly remarked, "Where to go in the middle of the night? The nearest settlement is 20 kilometers away, and there's a thunderstorm outside. We'll get lost. We'll get wet. No one will even find us." With such unhappy thoughts, we reached our parking lot. "Opar, Mitcha, did you touch my backpack?" "No, Oleg, I just took the flashlight." "And what is it?" "I left it on a rock." He couldn't have crawled 3 meters away by himself. We stood there with our mouths open. The depth of the moment was broken by the loud splash of the waves of an underground lake. A lake with no wind and no waves. Immediately, I clearly felt someone else's gaze on me, and a chill ran down my spine. We started searching the surface with flashlights, but saw nothing. A second later, a low-pitched rumble came from the opposite side, or from deep in the water, and it made my teeth ache. Without a word, grabbing our backpacks, we rushed toward the exit of the cave. "Hey, do you hear that?" suddenly shouted Mitcha. Gasping for breath, Amidst the noise of crumbling rocks and our heavy breathing, we all heard whispers approaching from all directions, some hissing and a sound like huge rocks rubbing against each other. "Fuck! What the fuck?" I shrieked in horror. My companions immediately shrieked, and we made such a cacophony mixed with mats that I'm still surprised that the cave vault didn't collapse on us. But at that moment I was ready to do anything not to hear that infernal whispering. I don't remember how we reached the ascent to the surface. I only remember that the rope in the darkness we found not immediately, and the horror when I realized that we had to get out one by one. "Fuck," moaned Oleg, leaning against the wall. "I think I broke my knee." "Hold on, bro. We'll get you out," said Mishka, clinging to the rope equipment. "Lyosha, you go next. Sonia, back up Oleg." At that moment, I must admit, I almost cried from fear. After all, I was to be the last to get out. Mika went first, swearing and slipping off the wet rocks. The three of us frantically looked and listened in the darkness of the cave, but it was impossible to hear anything in the noise of the storm. After tying Oleg properly, Alex rushed upwards. I bet he traveled the distance to the surface 3 times faster than usual. Then they started lifting Oleg up together. I ensured him from below, but I kept looking down into the darkness of the cave-in. The light of the flashlight glinted on the raindrops, and I could hardly illuminate more than 3 meters. I had never experienced such eeriness before. On one side was the saving sky, on the other was a predatory dark moor, and there was nothing I could do to help myself in this situation. Finally, they threw me a rope, and I flew up a dozen meters in a couple of seconds. As it turned out later, they helped me by pulling me up. About halfway up, the devil made me look back, and a lightning bolt flashed up, revealing this. It was about 1.5 meters tall, like a slouching man with pale pink or even white skin, a disproportionately large head, and long arms. I could not see eyes and ears. As I gave out a 4-story mat, and in 2 or 3 jumps I was on the surface, as I was told. Later, between the mats I yelled, "It's there, I saw it. Cut the rope. It's there." With fear I did not immediately realize that the boys had pulled me out together with the rope. 5 minutes later, skinned and half dead, we were already on the highway. I still wonder how Oleg with a broken knee could move with such speed, even with the help of friends. Soon we were picked up by a hitchhiking truck, and in another 15 minutes we reached a populated area and called for transportation. Now, after several years, I am no longer prepared to swear that I actually saw something there. It could have been the bizarrely fallen glare and shadows from the rocks, the underground lake's ripples, and hum could have been caused by the movement of the Earth's crust, or underground gases. The passage with the lost lantern, well, we could have really messed something up. The ominous whispering could have been our breathing distorted by an echo, and our frayed nerves could have been the catalyst for the ghostly sensations. Everything can be tried to be explained, but who really knows what secrets the Earth holds?